Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? I hope you all are doing well. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I hope you guys are having a great day. I wanted to come in really quick and talk about some stuff that I just saw with this interesting situation with Charlamagne and Bill Maher. I saw that Bill Maher and Charlamagne had an episode where Charlamagne was asked some pretty poignant questions about race and racism, and some questions that seemed to really kind of free Charlamagne up a little bit. Particularly when it comes to racial inequality and this whole idea of whether or not we should just vote for Biden and versus Trump. And then the other piece about Caitlyn Clark, and I'm actually going to address that too. I'm going to make a note to make sure we hit that topic. And also, if you stay to the end of this short episode, I will give you a stock pick that I like right now because I want you guys to have money in your pocket. Some of you saw, I put this on my Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. I put up a stock today that we have been talking about extensively this week called Sarepta Therapeutics. And that stock just shot up like a brick. And the thing is, I want you to be there when the good things happen. Now, this doesn't happen every day when it comes to investing, but y'all know that that's where the money's at. And so each day we do financial consciousness training every morning at 10 a.m., which is totally free to the community. Anybody that wants to engage in economic elevation, you're welcome to attend. If you'd like to attend, first follow me on Twitter just for fun, just because I just need good friends. I need smart people on my Twitter. And then number two, also, you can text the word morning to 87948. Text morning to 87948. I'll send you an invitation. We meet 7 days a week. Now, thank you, Deshaun Farad. Deshaun Farad, how you doing, brother? It's so great to see you again because I have so much respect for you. And Deshaun is you're an OG now, man. You've been doing this stuff for 15 years, and I just love you, brother, and I respect you. Hello, Tara Redmond. And Tara says, happy birthday, Dr. Boyce. Thank you. Thank you. And in case you don't know, today is they keep telling me I'm 53 years old, but I don't believe them. That's all fake news because you know how they do. They like to make stuff up. And actually, it's not. I'm not 53. Actually, this is just the 20th anniversary of my 33rd birthday. So I am 33, and I've been 33 20 times over now. And so 20 plus 33 would be 53, but that's all fake news. I ain't 53. I am 33 times 20 or something. I don't know. I got it wrong. Anyway, thank you for the happy birthday wishes, y'all, and I appreciate that very much. And I want to say thank you to my wife and our daughter who went to breakfast with me this morning and went to work out with me. But let's hop into this conversation with Charlamagne and Bill Maher. Give me a yes if you saw this discussion. Did anybody else watch this conversation between Charlamagne and Bill Maher? I thought it was great. I've never met Bill Maher, but I do know Charlamagne, and I haven't talked to him in a while. I think that whole flare up with Angela Rye might have upset him a little bit because Angela Rye, I met her, she wasn't a very nice lady, and I said it publicly, so I think that might have upset him. So that these things happen, but it's okay. And at any rate, I respect Charlamagne, and I like him, and one of the big reasons I respect him is because he's a supporter and a friend to Dr. Claude Anderson, who you and I all know about and we love. And his website is powernomics.com. Every Black person needs to understand Powernomics because this is the solution that will help us to create the community we deserve and stand up against the racism that's out here and fight against that oppression. And so there's a Dr. Anderson when he was on the Breakfast Club. And I remember reaching out to them and talking to them about getting Dr. Anderson on there. And I was so happy he got on there. I'd rather have him on there than have me on there. I was on there 4 times. I don't need to be back on there, but Dr. Anderson needs to be on there because everybody needs to hear his message. But with that said, Charlamagne is the guy who's behind that. I really like him in that way. I know he's not perfect. I know that he's flawed. And I'm sure he'd admit to that. But I think that he's an ally, and I respect him for that. So with that being said, they had this conversation with Maher, who I'm not sure if Maher is an ally or not. I've heard Bill Maher say some weird things about the Black community. I respect him as a thinker, but I'm not really sure how much of a friend he is to Black people or a person that understands Black causes. And but it was a good conversation. The part that I saw, I don't watch a lot of TV, but the parts that I saw that piqued my spidey senses was one question Maher asked Charlamagne about racism. And he was quoting from a speech. I think Biden was, he's doing his whole Negro shuffle, trying to get Black people out to vote. They show up every 4 years. The Democrats do. They show up kind of like the baby daddy showing up at Christmas time, and but not being around for the rest of the year. And at election time, they come around and then they tell you how terrible things are, and they tell you how hard it is to be black, and that they understand that, but they don't actually do anything, right? So when you bring up things like reparations, or you ask them to actually help support black businesses or give us some resources so that we can build black schools, like it'd be really nice if the black business school could expand nationwide and have 1,000 schools across the country to teach wealth to our children. They kind of flinch at that. They'd rather have black children educated under white people because they want them to control the resources, and they kind of want us as a commodity. We are a commodity for other people. And if you don't know what that means, think of it like this. Imagine that you are a chicken. And if you're a chicken, imagine that you live on a farm where they feed you, but the goal of the farmer is to get you packed up in a truck so they can deliver you to KFC. Like so they don't really care about the chickens. They feed the chickens, but they only feed the chickens to the extent that the chickens can be prepared to be taken off to slaughter. Do you understand? So we are a commodity that is packaged and prepared for delivery to other people, whether they're delivering us to the Democrats for votes every 4 years, or they're delivering us to the corporate plantation to go work for massa every day, or they're delivering our athletes to the NBA, NFL, and the NCAA, or they're delivering your black sons to the penitentiary. We are a commodity. Do you understand? Let me know if you get what I'm saying. So effectively, I don't really see a lot of promise there. I don't see a lot of hope there. I don't see a lot of empowerment there. And so anyway, Biden gave that speech, and somebody made a point. I think Maher made a point where Biden said something about being black means you have to work 10 times harder to get the same thing, or something like that. Just kind of patronizing stuff. I really don't believe him. And anyway, he asked Charlamagne about that. Like, do you think that it's 10 times harder for a black man in America than a white man? And Charlamagne said something that made sense. He said something like, well, maybe 5 times harder. And I get that, right? I think that that's a perfectly fine answer. And I'm going to ask y'all this question before I begin to dig into what I think. How many of you think that it's 5 times harder for a black person to be successful than a white person? How many of you think, give me a yes if you think that it's 5 times harder in America for a black person to achieve the same economic level as a white person? That is 5 times harder for a black person to achieve the same level of society, whatever that means, as a white person. How many of you think it's 5 times harder? How many of you think it's 5 times harder for a black person to just reach the same level as a white person, whatever that means? I don't even know exactly what they're saying when they talk about success, because we've discussed this here. And when we do economic consciousness every morning, I challenge you all to really think about what success even looks like, because I think that it's the incorrect definition of success that causes us to chase waterfalls, false dreams, and in situations that only make our lives worse. Okay, so a lot of you are saying yes. Some of you are saying more than 5 times. Lawrence says more than 5 times. AR says 10x. Okay. Notorious Hop says 20x. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm going to argue. Here's what I'm going to throw out here. I'm going to throw out some variables that are worthy of consideration that I think that we should consider when you talk about the difficulties of achieving a certain level of success if you're black versus if you're white. So let's process it this way. When I got my PhD in finance, I finished in 2002. I know that's a long time ago. Some of y'all might have been children when I finished my doctorate. Do you know? Give me an answer in the chat. How many other African American males or females do you think graduated that year? There were hundreds of finance PhDs given out that year. How many of them do you think were African American, male or female? Put a number in the chat. Just guess. Make a wild guess. Come on, wild crazy guess. What do you think? How many others? What do you think? I'm gonna give you a second to answer, and then I'm gonna give you the answer. Because some of you have been listening to me, you know the answer. It's 0. Absolutely 0. Not 1. Not a 1. 0. Absolutely 0. My wife went through her PhD program. My wife, in case you don't know, not only is she the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life, but she also happens to be a licensed therapist, a full professor of social work, and a doctorate in social work. And in case you don't know, it's really hard to be a full professor. So shout out to the black women who are kicking ass and taking names. I'll never be one of those men who insult you because you worked hard and accomplished things. I think that men have to step your game up. And if you can't handle a woman that's successful, then just go get you a loser. There's plenty of them out there. You can go date Sexy Red or something. I want the black women who got brains, the booty and the brains. You can have both. So my wife got both. She got all of that. So she started her PhD program, and there were 5 black people in the program. Guess how many out of that 5 actually made it to the finish line? Out of 5 people, how many others got to the finish line along with my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins? I'm going to answer for you. It's 0, not 1. Just like a sniper taking their heads off. Pop, 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 pop. None of them graduated. All of them dedicated their lives to getting through that program. Not one of them finished. Not one. So here's what I want to go back to. Let's circle back to Bill Maher and his old raggedy ass. Sir, how dare you, with your balding gray hair and your big funny nose, even insinuate for 1 second that you understand on any level what it's like to be a black man or black woman in this country? How dare you, man? How dare you, dude? You have never ever gone. You ain't got no idea what some of us had to go through to get here. And I'm talking about the PhD process again, where people, black people, every black person I knew got picked off by that racist system somewhere along the way. They didn't make it. They didn't not get to the finish line because they were lazy. They did not make the finish line because they were stupid. They did not get that opportunity because something was wrong with them or they were inferior. I know that's what you want to believe. I know you want to believe that white males are magical and that they have fairy dust coming out of their ass, which allows them to just do things that nobody else can do. But the reality is that the reason that I was that I literally went to Syracuse University, where they had never promoted not one single black finance professor in the 100-year history of that school, is because of this thing called systematic racism, bro. It's systematic racism. The reason Elena Kagan, who's now in the Supreme Court, when Elena Kagan was nominated for the Supreme Court, I got a call from the Obama administration asking me to support this lady. And we looked at her record. And do you know that when she was the dean of Harvard Law School, pay attention now, pay attention. When she was the dean of Harvard Law School, Elena Kagan hired 31 people, and she hired nothing but white males, 1 Asian, and 1 white female, or something crazy like that. She did not hire one single African American for Harvard Law School. Not one. But yet somehow you think that it's just as easy for us as it is for you. It's insanity to think that it's the same. It's insanity. White males don't live in a world where they can go into a situation where every single person gets eliminated except for one, or they go 50, 70, 80 years without hiring a single white male. But there are many places I could point to, and this was part of my battle with Syracuse University. In case you don't know my history, I was on the faculty there for 12 years, and I brought it up to him. I said, dude, isn't it crazy that you have several departments I could point to that haven't promoted not one black person in a 100-year history? Imagine if you went 100 years without promoting a white man. Do you think that would even happen? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So I'm going to just jump on that point right there and just say that not only is Bill Maher just horrifically and embarrassingly incorrect on this particular topic, he's not even qualified to have the fucking conversation. The only reason that you're even able to have that conversation is because of white privilege. Because if you were a black man, you probably wouldn't even be sitting across from Charlamagne. Because you couldn't have overcome you couldn't have done what he did to get there. You couldn't have overcome all the things he overcame. Again, one of the things I respect about Charlamagne, I know y'all got mixed feelings about this man. I get it. He can be goofy sometimes. We know these things. But the reason I respect him is because I remember when Wendy Williams, I used to go to the Wendy Williams show back when Wendy was killing radio. She was one of the best hosts I ever saw, one of the most professional. Diddy tried to run her out of town when she was letting everybody know how gay the rappers were. She was, in case y'all don't know, Wendy Williams deserves a lot of credit for the fact that she was one of the first ones to really point out what was really going on in hip hop. and Diddy didn't like it, so Diddy ran her out of town. Wendy was so extraordinary that Wendy broke her way back into the New York market and then took the whole thing over. She took over the shit. That's how good Wendy was. So shout out to Wendy Williams. I know she's struggling right now, but I met Wendy on many, many occasions, sat with her for hours. Love that lady. She was very nice to me, always respectful. Charlamagne was her co-host at the time. When Wendy Williams left to go to TV, and she left in a very bad situation. There was a lot going on at that radio station. I don't know everything, but I know a few people there. Charlamagne went back to South Carolina without a gig. And even though he was back in South Carolina without a gig, he kept on hosting radio. He would call me every week and ask me to be on his show, which was some little crappy public access show that nobody listened to. And I only did the interviews because I felt sorry for him. I said, if somebody, if I was going through a tough time, I'd want somebody to talk to me too. And he'd have me on, and it'd be like an hour long. And I think, oh my God, I don't have time to talk for an hour, but I did it anyway just to be kind. And so to see him come back to where he is now, I'm very proud of him. I've seen the journey. I have a lot of respect for that. Right. Again, a lot of it comes with shenanigans. I think hip hop is a bullshit industry. I think that overall hip hop is, unfortunately, it's a place that's full of ignorance, a lot of 45, 50-year-old teenagers, a lot of debaucherous behavior, a lot of negativity. But at the very least, Charlamagne's trying to bring some sort of intelligence into that space. He's a supporter of guys like Farrakhan and Dr. Claude Anderson and others. And I admire that. So if you compare the trajectory in terms of what Charlamagne had to overcome to sit in that seat across from Maher, compared to what Maher had to overcome as a white guy, there is no comparison. I don't think that Maher could have overcome all those things. That's my point. I don't think that Bill Maher is a guy that is qualified to even discuss the black experience in America, because you don't know what it's like to be black. You ain't never been black, man. I know you probably got a black girlfriend or something. He's probably had sex with a lot of black women. He seems like that type of guy. But then sometimes they get comfortable and they think they can say anything that they want to us. But he does not understand, because like Kendrick Lamar said, they not like us. They not like us. They not like us. You ain't like me. Yeah, I'm not like you. So let's just understand that we're different. And I think that sort of interesting sort of liberal condescension, where they want to sun us and talk to us like we're children and explain the black experience to us. I don't know about everybody else, but that's just insulting. It's irritating. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Let me tell you what it's like to be a black man. Don't you tell me what it's like. You can't. I'm 53 years old, man. Don't you dare tell me what I had to go through and what it should have felt like. You don't know what it was like to be born on Father's Day when my father wasn't even there. My father wasn't even in the room. I was born on Father's Day. I think I was a pretty damn good Father's Day gift. My father wasn't even in the room. He was all probably getting high or something. He spent years in prison for drugs. You don't know what it's like to go through the poverty. You don't know what it's like to break through that damn public school system as a little black boy. You don't know what it's like dealing with situations in the 90s where all the black men, so many black males I knew, were getting life in prison and getting shot in the head. My best friend, Greg Wilkins, in Louisville, Kentucky, got shot in the head in front of his daughter. You don't understand that. You don't have a clue. You have no idea. So you somehow want to tell me that the average white boy, has an experience that is equivalent to the one that I had to go through to get in the seat that I'm in right now. You can take that nonsense and shove it up your whole entire ass. Excuse my French. I'm sorry, y'all. This makes me so mad that I got to cuss a little bit on this, because it's audacious. It's mighty white of you to think that you have the authority to even. You don't even have the right to even be in the conversation, dude. Your opinion does not matter on any of this. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to move to the next topic because I'm getting heated right now. If y'all could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching DrBoyceTV.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And also, you see that URL on the screen, blackkeystogreatness.com. I do have a life class called Black Keys to Greatness, which is basically keys to success, how to manage your time, how to set goals, how to overcome obstacles, all that. I put that in there. It's totally free. It's rocket fuel. It's a gift. If you guys would like to have access to that, just go to blackkeystogreatness.com. And also with Black Keys to Greatness, we meet every Wednesday night and we do Powernomics training. We don't just talk about how much we love Dr. Claude Anderson. We study him. We've been reading his books, and I've been doing this every Wednesday night for about 6 years now, consistently. So if you'd like to join us for Powernomics training, you can just go to blackkeystogreatness.com. It's 100% free. So feel free to join us in the Black Business School. It's all online. You don't have to go anywhere. All right. So with that said, let's hit another topic that they kind of discussed. Charlamagne, when he was on the Bill Maher show, they also talked about this issue with Caitlyn Clark. And I thought that was really interesting. There was a conversation about whether or not Caitlyn Clark, I guess, should have been picked for the Olympic team. And and how Caitlyn Clark compares to the black players in the league. Now, Caitlyn Clark, in case you don't know who she is, she's kind of like this white Wonder Woman or something. She's like she's the new Larry Bird, I think, in the minds of other people. She's Elvis Presley, she's Eminem, all these things, right? And what I mean by that, I don't even mean that in an insulting way, because I think Caitlyn Clark's a great basketball player at the college level. She was extraordinary at the college level. She did great things at the college level. She didn't win championships, but she did a great job at the college level. Now, it's really actually a stretch for me to call her a Larry Bird, because the difference between Caitlyn Clark and Larry Bird is that Larry Bird didn't just do great things at the college level. Larry Bird did great things at the professional level. And so this rivalry between Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese has tremendous economic potential, because it leans on pre-existing racial tensions that have always existed in America. We know that generally speaking, in America, which is a country that really hasn't dealt with and acknowledged its racism, we know that people like to see that sort of shape up between a black person and a white person. They like that, right? That's and I know I like it. It's kind of fun to watch, right? So it kind of goes back into that Bird versus Magic stuff, or maybe you go back into boxing, where that movie The Great White Hype with Damon Wayans, where they had the mediocre white boy against the black heavyweight champion, or Jake Paul against Mike Tyson. What in the hell does Jake Paul have any business doing in the ring with Mike Tyson? But then again, why is Mike Tyson in the ring at the age of 60? Well, the reason Tyson's trying to go in the ring at the age of 60, which is way too old to be boxing, and the reason Jake Paul even gets the chance to even be in the ring with him, even though he couldn't hold his jockstrap, is because of race. You get the young white guy against the old, aging, tired ass black man, and you're thinking maybe the white guy has a chance. So they're going to walk in there and get a big fat $100 million payday, probably maybe even $250 million, because everybody wants to see that. So Caitlyn Clark is a multi-billion-dollar commodity because of that. Potentially speaking, she has not proven herself. She's only proven that she's good at the college level, and that's the difference between her and Angel Reese versus Bird and Magic. Bird and Magic were rivals in college, and they took the rivalry to the next level, and they then competed in the NBA championship, not just in one, but in several championships, where it was going back and forth from the West Coast to the East Coast. So it's black versus white. It was absolutely the perfect storm that propelled the NBA to become a massive multi-billion-dollar entity. Way to go. There's no evidence yet to say that Caitlyn Clark is going to be able to do that for the WNBA. The WNBA is losing money. First off, they're way behind financially. Number two, her team sucks. Number three, there are at least probably about 30 or 40 black women in the WNBA, and some white women too, who are better, just flat out better than Caitlyn Clark. So the odds that Caitlyn and Angel will be able to duplicate the basketball miracle that was Bird and Magic are almost slim to none. They're really slim to none. And also, the reality is that we know that she's not even one of the top 10, top 15 players in the league. But then again, basketball is a business. People forget that it's a business. And by virtue of it being a business, it means that, we want to believe that the talent is the only thing that matters and who's the best player and all this other stuff. But really, it's the marketing. Caitlyn is great for marketing. That's why Ice Cube, who's a friend to this platform, he's been on here a couple of times. Ice Cube offered Caitlyn Clark $5 million to come play in the Big Three. I don't think Ice Cube's a smart man. I talked to him a few times, and I don't think for one second Ice Cube believes that Caitlyn Clark is the best player that he could sign. I think he wanted to sign Caitlyn Clark because she's the most marketable player that he could sign. So to some extent, that's what convolutes the conversation about Caitlyn Clark, is because you're blending business with the perception that sports is a meritocracy. You're blending the business of selling tickets and selling merch and branding and filling up the stadiums with you're convoluting that with the other side of it, where we want to believe that basketball is all about who can hit the most jump shots and who can score the most championships. If you go in that second category of pure talent, then you got to go look at somebody like Aja Wilson. Aja Wilson is a beast. She's won 2 championships. She's 10 times better than Caitlyn Clark. If I'm trading for the best player, I'm going for Aja every day of the week. Asia, I hope I said it right. If I said it wrong, please forgive me, Asia, if you heard this. But if I'm looking to fill up the stands and I'm looking to make basketball into a business, then I'm going to go get me a Caitlyn Clark to play next to Asia, because that's the winning formula. That way you're making the money and you are winning the games. You got the flash and you got the substance. And so that right now Caitlyn Clark is just flash. And so the racial controversy and the racial conversation, I think, just centers around the fact that America is a racially divided country. And I think that conversation about Caitlyn Clark and kind of like sort of injecting racism into the way America is responding to Caitlyn Clark, which was actually what Charlamagne and Bill Maher sort of brought up was the difference in terms of how people are treated. I think Charlamagne mentioned that Asia is a better player, and it's racism that Caitlyn Clark gets all the attention, and it could be right, but it's also it could be just be this very basic idea that people somehow forget to acknowledge, which is that honestly, I think white people are human, right? Let me ask y'all this simple question. When you watch a game, how many of you love to see the black person win? Or when you are watching a movie, how many of you like it when the black person lives? How many of y'all like to see when the black person is doing better than everybody else? When Tiger Woods played golf, if you could get past the politics of it all, how many of you were happy to see Tiger Woods kick the asses of like 300 of the best white golfers in the world? Like, I thought that was cool. I loved it. I love seeing that one black man go out there and dominate everyone else. I love watching. How many of y'all enjoy watching Venus and Serena and watching those two go into white dominated tennis and just take the whole damn thing over? They literally swallowed all of tennis, and they didn't even need a whole bunch of them. It was like us. We're so amazing sometimes that for us it could be 1 versus 1,000, and we'll defeat the 1,000, right? So how many of you felt that way? A lot of you felt that way. I know I did. So truth be told, if you're really honest about it and just direct about it, I think white people like to see themselves, on the court too. They kind of, sometimes I bet deep down they want to cheer for the white guy, just like we want to cheer for the black guy. And I don't think that necessarily makes you a racist bastard, because I never lived under the illusion that a white man is going to love me as much as he loves himself. I never believed that he's going to care about my community as much as he cares about his own community. I never thought that he was going to care about my family as much as he cares about his own, because I don't care about his family. I don't care about his community. I don't love him more than I love myself. And so I think that is what you really see. So in the reality is that if Caitlyn Clark were a basketball player in Kenya, then things would completely flip and be to her disadvantage, because there are far more black people in Kenya than there are white people. But you live in America, and white people dominate in terms of numbers and population. So when you have a star that is melanin deficient, like Caitlyn Clark, right? She's damn good, but if she was black, it'd be like, oh wow, look, yet another amazing black basketball player, right? We don't have a shortage of Caitlyn Clarks in our community. We got about 1,000 of them. Seriously, we have, we don't have a shortage of great black rappers. We don't have a shortage of great black basketball players. Those are two things we will never run out of. Right. If she were black, she'd be another great player. She'd be great like Asia. She's not even great as Asia. We got a lot of players that are not even as good as Asia. But she would just be so maybe almost like a Cheryl Miller, maybe almost like a even Brittany Griner, and just some of these other black players that are in the league that have dominated. We know that we do what we do. But Caitlyn is special because she's one of the few that's actually able to keep up with us at that level. And she also did it on a big stage. Now, again, there have been some white players that are pretty good too, that play for UConn and stuff like that. But for the most part, she's just unique because she did what she did at a very high level on a big stage, and she happens to have the complexion for the connection. So if I am a melanin deficient American, that's what we're going to call them. We're not going to make fun of their disability. I'm playing. I'm being silly. I'm being mean right now. Then I'm going to want to come to the game, and I'm going to want to see her. And that means that I'm going to buy my ticket. I'm going to buy my jersey. I'm going to spend my money, and that money piles up when you multiply that by about 10 million, 20 million. And next thing you know, the WNBA is elevated because you've got this Elvis Presley, Eminem, Larry Bird-ish kind of figure that you can promote with the league. And I don't think there's anything sinister or terrible about that. I think that the injection of race into the conversation is it's not so much of a reflection of Caitlyn and who she is or the players in the WNBA. It's really a reflection of us. It's really a reflection of our country. Our country has never gotten over race. It's never gotten over racial division. It hasn't. Whites and blacks see the world differently. We just do. That's not always a terrible thing. Sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's good. The OJ trial 30 years ago showed us how divided America was. And because we don't really confront race in an honest way, the divisions remain and the divisions continue to grow. So we end up seeing alternative realities. So I think that the conversation about when it came to the conversation about Caitlyn, I felt like both Charlamagne and Bill were a little bit misguided. So I think Charlamagne felt that Asia not getting the same attention as Caitlyn was driven partly by racism. I don't completely agree. I think that it's built by a type of structural racial disparity in that, yeah, whites run the league, whites control the media, whites dominate the population, but that really speaks to our lack of desire to build our own sports leagues. I think that the fact that we're not institutionally oriented, we're not sort of focused on developing the infrastructure to build our own institutions, that becomes partly our fault as well. With all the great black athletes you have, there's no reason why you should not have your own sports league. You had the Negro Leagues and you threw it all away because you were so excited to get a Jackie Robinson. And I'm going to tell y'all to the end, to the day I die, that was a loss. Dr. Claude Anderson would agree with me 100%. You traded a whole damn league so one Negro could have a damn job. You traded all of the billions of dollars in wealth that was to be created by having a system so you can have one piece of worthless symbolism. One person got a job, Massa wrote him a check, and you were all so excited that you forgot that now 1,000 people are going to starve so that one man could eat. So you should have your own sports league. Now, here's where Maher was wrong. I think Maher brought up Serena Williams as a counterexample to say, that well, because they cheer for Serena Williams, then that's not, that doesn't show that we're racist. We cheer for everybody, and I kind of get that. But if you really saw the way Serena was treated all through professional tennis, she wasn't always treated very well. I think that there was always a lot of suspicion thrust on her and a lot of mistreatment that she did not deserve. And so you can't pretend like Serena's experience was always, flowers and pigtails. But at the same time, though, there was respect that was given to her. The same way that there are people that respect Caitlyn Clark. So I don't think that was even a conversation that needed to be had, because I don't even know if racism has to be part of that discussion. If you want to talk about race with Caitlyn Clark, it really comes down to race and economics. There are more white people in America than there are black people. White people have more money than black people. So those who are on platforms that require massive numbers of people in order for you to generate revenue at a certain level, you're naturally going to have an advantage if you're white, because I believe white people, generally speaking, want to see people that look like them. That's why Elvis Presley could sing the same song as a black man with more talent and still sell more records. And it's not people saying that they think he's better necessarily. It's just people saying that we like it when he sings it, and not so much when the black guy sings it. Not because we hate black people, but because we just like ourselves. And I think those are two different things. And if you don't like that, then I think you have to find some other way to approach these economic problems. I say to you that it just baffles me that when you talk about these institutional problems with media and sports leagues, that we haven't really sat and had constructive conversations about how to develop leagues of our own. And also this sort of idea that we can sort of be playing on somebody else's field and be treated the exact same as them is, I think, a false idea. I've never gone through life thinking that as a black man, I'm going to be viewed the same as a white guy. I've never sat next to the white guy in his house, in his space, in an institution built in his image, and truly felt that somehow I'm going to be treated exactly like him, because I think that is fundamentally unrealistic. That's as realistic as thinking that a white guy could come to the barbecue in the hood at your grandma's house and be treated like he's a cousin. He's not going to be treated like a cousin. He's going to be treated like the white boy who came to visit. And as long as he acts right, we will love him, we will respect him, we will accept him. But if he starts acting weird and doing weird stuff that's normal in his community but abnormal in ours, we're going to put him out. So ultimately, I would say to you that those who feel uncomfortable in these white spaces, black faces in white spaces, black people in black spaces, black faces in high places, whatever it is that you think you're trying to do, you got to understand the terrain within which you're operating. You got to think about what court am I playing on, and it is a lack of commitment to developing black-owned institutions that causes us to constantly be in situations where we're playing on the opposition's court. We're always playing away games, and we're trying to win on somebody else's court where they make the rules and all the fans are cheering for them, and they put the basket exactly where they want it to be, and then we wonder why we keep losing the game. Dr. Claude Anderson is the person that every college graduate in our community needs to hear, because he's the guy that explains it all. He has a great book called Powernomics. In the book Powernomics, and I know Charlamagne loves the book Powernomics. Dr. Anderson told me that Charlamagne and Tiffany Haddish flew to his house to sit and talk to him, as they should. Every smart person should sit with this man, because he explains to you that part of the reason that you're always a day late, a dollar short, in last place, feeling discriminated against, is because you're training yourselves on the wrong things. You're training your children to go and serve a bigger master as opposed to becoming the leader themselves. So when you had even guys like Damon Dash, who was, I know Damon, I talked to him a lot. He went on the Breakfast Club and he talks all day about being a boss and what that really means. I was really happy about that conversation, because we got to have more conversations like that in our community, because we have some kids that are too talented to be somebody else's bitch. We have some kids coming out of college that are too smart to be somebody else's subordinate. We have some kids coming out of our universities that are just too bright, too talented, too capable to sit up under somebody else and simply be a guy with a job. Instead, we have to have people that are builders. And the question is, where are the builders at? Because if you don't have builders in your community, then you never have infrastructure. If you never have infrastructure, then you never have power. Because if you're in a situation where someone else owns the infrastructure, somebody else is making the rules, then you're always going to feel like you are a subordinate. You're going to feel like you are a second-class citizen. So that is what Dr. Claude Anderson teaches us, which is why I think that his ideas are so dangerous, because once you start serving yourself, then you no longer can serve your master. Right. So your master, your pimp, the person who is benefiting from all the effort that you're putting into building his institutions, building his sports leagues, building his communities, building his wealth. Well, he doesn't want to see a Claude Anderson coming, because he says, damn, if Black people start working for themselves and supporting themselves and building for themselves, they go back and build the Negro leagues. If the Negro leagues had built for themselves, then they couldn't be building for Major League Baseball. You understand? So this is one of the reasons why AKA Black empowerment, or whatever you want to call this, is such a dangerous threat. The only type of Black empowerment that is accepted in America is typically going to be empowerment that is pretty fake, that is superficial. The only type of empowerment that is going to be accepted by America, for the most part, is the empowerment in which you pretend to be empowered and you think you're empowered, but you're only empowered because they gave you the power. Do you understand? So, but the reality about power is that if somebody really gives you the power, then that means that you really don't have any power 9 times out of 10, because people don't typically give power away. So these conversations from people like Dr. Anderson are so important, and these are conversations we have to lead. I don't think a Bill Maher is qualified nor capable of having a conversation like that. The closest he'll get to talking to a Claude Anderson is a Charlamagne, who's influenced by people like that, and that's why you saw the conflict. I don't think that even liberal white males, listen, pay attention now. I don't think that most liberal white males are comfortable talking to truly empowered Black men. I don't think that liberal white males feel good talking to Black men who have enough agency and self-equity to really sit there and say, I don't love you, I don't hate you, I don't admire you, I don't dislike you, but I don't need anything from you. Like there's no validation you can give to me. If you pat me on my head and say, good job, boy, or you're so smart, boy, or you're so articulate, I'm not going to feel better about myself because you said that. And so that very subtle kind of white supremacy that exists in America, you have to really be conscious of it to even know that it's there. That very subtle paternalism that often comes from liberals as much as conservatives. When that loses its value, it becomes a very awkward conversation. I don't think that they're used to talking to Black men who truly show up as men. I really don't believe that. And so really, to me, I think that there's another level to the conversation. I don't know if we've ever gotten to that point, but I will say this. I thought the conversation was kind of interesting, but it was really not a conversation for Black people, because there's nothing magical about talking to a white guy about our problems that makes our problems go away. Talking to Bill Maher only means that lots of white people saw the conversation, and whatever Black people watched that show saw the conversation. But there's nothing progressive or powerful about Charlamagne having this conversation with Bill Maher that somehow means that the conversation is more relevant. What really needs to happen is the conversation between us, the conversation that you're having with your kids, the conversation you're having with your brother, the conversation you're having with your family, the conversation you're having when you get together and start that family investment club or that family business, or that conversation that you're having with your kids where you talk to them about being an owner versus a renter, being an investor versus a spender, being a wealth builder, right? And building for the next generation and developing enough institutional infrastructure that you don't have to go across the street or beg for a job or beg for anything because you've got enough right there at home. We haven't reached that point yet, but I believe that one day we will. It's just going to require us to really understand what's going on. All right. So anyway, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. If you want to, I have a training that you want to take a look at if you'd like. It's really good. Everybody likes it. It's called How to Make Money Without Working. And it involves generating income by selling stock options. It does work, and I talked to a lot of students about it, and I know some of you are doing great things with this, and I'm super excited for you. And my belief is that if you're able to make your own money in the right way, then you're going to be a little freer, a little bolder, a little more capable to get things done. So feel free to text the word money to 87948, and I'll send you the training. You can take a look at it, and it does connect to our Prime program, which basically is all about stock options. My doctorate's in finance, and that's what I do. So feel free to go text the word money to 87948. All right, so let's finish up this conversation. So we're talking about Charlamagne and Bill Maher and this discussion they had where they sort of talked about race and voting and everything else. And I fully expect that Charlamagne he's a guy that does a great job of really challenging just some of the nonsense that sort of gets done by the Democratic Party in every election. And I like the fact that he does that. The unfortunate reality is that I think that there's a limitation to exactly how much he's able to do in the position that he's in. And so what I fully expect is that no matter how much we talk about, about getting something for our vote or getting tangibles or what the Democratic Party is doing to us, there are certain people, and I think Charlamagne might be in that category, and I don't say this in a disparaging way, but, at the end of the day, the conclusion when it comes to crunch time in the election is I'm going to go ahead and vote for Biden. And that's kind of what I think he's going to do. That's what he's expected to do. And I think that's what a lot of people are going to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I personally will say this. I think that when you talk about the election, I think that the election conversation has to be a little broader than the one that we're having. The election conversation to me is not, it just can't be Trump versus Biden. Trump versus Biden to me is a very boring conversation. It's, do you pick the old senile white guy or do you pick the old racist white guy, right? Because I do think Trump is a racist, but at the same time, I don't care as much that he's a racist. I just think he's kind of a guy that's not good to lead a country. I know his history. I've studied him for a very long time. I don't think he's a guy who he's almost like the white Kanye West. I think that there's a reason why him and Kanye got along. I told you about my many conversations with Kanye. I did not enjoy them. I just don't like people that sort of have these almost insanely narcissistic outsized egos. I don't think people like that are really built for leadership because they've forgotten one simple rule about leadership, which is that leadership is service. Leadership means that your job is to sacrifice for the people you lead, not to have them worship you like a god. And so I've never met Donald Trump, but I'm not. But from what I know, I'm not surprised that he and Kanye West kind of get along because both of those guys are just not very good leaders, in my opinion, because they have not really self-actualized to the point where they understand that they need to be part of something bigger than themselves. So with that being said, I think that it's a very boring, very unhelpful, almost unintelligent, very sad conversation when we get to arguing about Trump versus Biden. I don't even want that to even, if you ever talk to me about this, I don't want to talk about that. I want us to say, okay, well, what else is there? Right? To me, the next conversation needs to be, okay, what lies outside the matrix? Right? And in order for us to really analyze in an honest way what lies outside the matrix, first off, we have to have the courage to go outside of the matrix. Right? Go have the courage to go outside of the whole Diddy vote or die nonsense that he used to do and all this other stuff. And we have to get to the point where we can say, okay, you know what? I refuse to allow you to put me in a position where these are the only two choices I have. Right? I refuse to let you box me into the point where I got to pick option A or option B when I really need you. I need an option C. And if you can't give me an option C, then I'm going to bust out of this bitch and create an option C. Do you understand what I'm saying? I am not your slave. I'm not here. I'm not dumb enough, nor am I weak enough, nor am I gullible enough to let you back me into a corner to the point where you're having me choose. Do you want to eat rotten eggs or horse shit? I don't want either one. I don't like rotten eggs and I don't like horse shit. So why are you telling me that those are my only two choices and that I got to pick one? I ain't got to do nothing. I don't have to do anything you tell me to do. I'm going to do what works best for me and the people that I love. And I would encourage you to consider that. I'm not telling you how to change the conversation. I know some of you are going to vote for Trump, some of you are going to vote for Biden. Go do that, please. Enjoy yourself. Like, just really, if that makes you feel good, do it. Do the whole damn thing. Put the little button on that says I voted. That's fine. But then you got to really think about what matters to you. What is your goal? What the hell are you trying to do? What are we trying to solve? How are we moving the needle? How's the world going to change because we were here? I don't think that any of us who have kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews or cares about anybody outside ourselves, I don't think any of us want to walk away from this world knowing that we left our kids and grandkids the same bullshit options that were given to us. Can we at least agree on that? Can we at least agree that we would like our children to have options? Like the options to do what they want to do, like more options than the ones we had. Can we at least agree on that? Give me a yes if we can at least agree that we want our kids and grandkids to have better options than we had. And then some of y'all are going even further. Some of y'all leaving your kids stock options, which will put them in an amazing position. They don't have to work for anybody if you do it right. So given that we all agree that we want to give our children more options than we had, then that's going to require us to have some uncomfortable conversations with ourselves, with each other, and with our oppressor. That's it, right? So to me, if you wake up and you say, "Gosh, what matters to me?" Oh, what matters to me is I want my life to be better. What matters to me is I need my family's life to be better. What matters to me is I want my community to be better. And what matters to me is I want to leave an adequate legacy for my kids and grandkids, so that they don't think I was some loser who didn't give a damn about nothing except liquor, weed, and wasting time and wasting money and going to the strip club and putting my money in stripper thongs and all this other nonsense, right? My kids ain't gonna be having a GoFundMe account opened up, so they can bury me, where they got to go beg the church to go donate so that they can have enough money to put me in a casket. Like, that's not gonna be my legacy, right? So when you focus on the things that matter and don't allow yourself to be distracted by the things that do not matter, then I believe that means you have a completely different conversation. I also think that means that you step off the grid and you start looking at solutions that lie outside of the box that Massa gave you. It was somebody else that really gave you that whole Democrat Republican box. I'm just going to tell you the truth. They're the ones who gave that to you. So to me, part of freedom means having the agency within yourself to say, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for giving me these rights. But I'm going to go and pursue the rights that actually matter, the things that are actually going to lead to the results that I'm looking for. So let me give you a real life example. Let me break this down to make it more concrete. I saw today something really interesting. I really want to address this more. I saw a brother that you probably know about by the name of Kwame Brown out of Detroit. Anybody remember Kwame Brown? He was the mayor of Detroit in the early 2000s. He was the first hip hop mayor. He was a young guy, very smart. And man, he just really went through it. My brother went to prison and everything else. And again, I know some of you, I got a lot of friends from Detroit. I know some of y'all love Kwame, some of you don't. It's okay to have whatever opinion you want. I will say that most people I know, at least my crowd, most of the people I talk to that know Detroit and know Kwame, at the very least, they have some empathy for the fact that they know that Kwame was probably not the only person in politics that was doing some of the stuff that he got sent to prison for. They know that the white guys do it too, but when you're a black man and you come in as the first hip hop mayor and all this other stuff, you know that they're gonna have you on the crossing block. Again, for a Bill Maher, that's one of those other many examples where being black is harder than being white. If Kwame Brown were a white guy, if he were Ken Brown or something, Ken the white guy, I don't think Kwame would be in prison. I think Kwame might even, in fact, he'd be president of the United States. He'd be Donald Trump or something, because I'm willing to bet you that Donald Trump has probably broken the law a whole lot more times than Kwame Brown, and Donald Trump only got convicted once, right? So anyway, with that being said, one of the things I think that we should really think about is, the danger of I keep saying Kwame Brown. I meant to say Kwame Kilpatrick. Did I say Kwame Brown? I'm so sorry. Kwame Brown's the basketball player who hates my guts for some reason. Kwame Kilpatrick is the mayor of Detroit. Thank you for correcting me. I keep saying Brown. I am so sorry. Forgive me for doing that. And Lord Jesus, I know I pissed Kwame Brown off the first time. I hope he don't get mad again now. But then again, if he gets mad, that's his issue. Anyway, so sorry. I meant to say Kwame Kilpatrick. Sorry for that. So please forgive me for doing that. Okay, so Kwame Kilpatrick. Let me talk about Kwame Kilpatrick a little bit more. So here's the thing. I don't really know. I think that sometimes when we have ambition and we have dreams and we have goals, sometimes we have the wrong dream. Like sometimes I think we have the wrong goal. Like Barack Obama, I think Barack Obama had the wrong goal. Like his dream was, I want to be president of the United States. I think that if your goal is to benefit the black community, I don't think that being president of the United States or even mayor of Detroit is the best way to really get that done because you're playing basketball on somebody else's home court. You're kind of in a system that definitely wasn't built for you, that was designed with other people in mind. And also, the other people kind of make the rules and they sort of can put a spotlight on you and say, say he's the corrupt one. He's the one who is who was breaking the law. None of us were breaking the law, but just him. And then next thing you know, people who are breaking the law on a regular basis, very corrupt people, can point the finger at you and make it appear that you're the only person engaged in corruption. That's sort of the game that they play. They kind of circle you in that way. And I think that it puts black men in danger. I really do. I think that any black man who is prominent and well respected, and you live in a space where you're surrounded by people who are not like you are very, very vulnerable because the minute that you are out of line or they decide they just are done with you, they have the capacity to easily ruin you. And so I think that a Kwame Kilpatrick or Barack Obama could have been much more impactful in the black community if they'd done something a little bit more off the grid. So one example might be, let's say Barack Obama said, you know what, I'm done with this White House stuff. I got just enough credibility from white folks to get black folks to trust me. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to go find an HBCU that needs my support. And I'm going to go run that HBCU. I'm going to raise, $5 billion for this school and make this the best educational institution for black people in the entire country. I think that would be more impactful to the black community than being president of the United States because you're able to basically send the medicine right to the bloodstream. Right. Instead of you being diluted where you are president and all you can do is say, well, I'd like to do more for black people, but I can't. And I can't just do stuff for only black people. Remember, he said that so many times where he was explaining to us, all these times where he's like, this after we all voted for him, he's like, well, I can't do anything just for black people. I'm like, well, then why'd you ask me to come vote just for you? What if I shown up and say, well, I can't just vote for you. I got to vote for the Republicans too. Whatever. Like that would not have applied. So I voted specifically for you. So you better do something specifically for me. If you get, that's called reciprocity, right? So what happens is, and I want you to understand is, let me know if you get the point. When you are defining success, when you define black success by simply being a black face in a white space, that's not really success, in my opinion. I don't think that a black face in a white space is the best that we can do. I think that the best we can do is a black face in a black space. Tell me if you get what I'm saying. Tell me if you got that. I want us to meditate on this point for a moment. Do you get what I'm saying? A black face in a white space is not as impactful as a black face in a black space. Think about it. It's as basic as being a good parent. If I want to be a good parent, and I haven't meditated on it. I don't have good knowledge of self. If I want to be a great parent, I might make the mistake of saying, if I go out into the world and I save the world and I become famous and rich and important and make $1 billion, then I'll be a great parent. My children will be so proud of me, and my kids will really look up to me because I was on TV and I became a Hollywood star and whatever, right? That's tempting to think, right? But that's wrong, right? Because then what happens is you're out here chasing the world, you're out here doing all this other stuff. You ain't never home. Your kid don't never see you. With your daughter's got a ballet recital, you can't make it because you're off doing all this important shit that you think is going to impress a damn 7-year-old. But she don't give a damn. She just wants to see her daddy in the audience. Do you understand? And then you wonder why you become this amazing, successful person, but then your 25-year-old kids hate your guts. Go look on Shade Room and look at how often grown parents are on grown children are on Shade Room talking about how their celebrity parents ain't shit. Look at the times all the time. I'm like, damn, you sold 10 million records and your kids hate you. That's got to be stressful. Well, it's because the kids don't really care about all the extra stuff. The kids need you to give them your attention. That's what they wanted. They didn't need you to be perfect. They didn't care if you were great. They didn't care if you made $1 million or if you were on TV. But they do care if you meet them that morning for breakfast. They do care if you are able to read them a story before they go to sleep that night. They do care that they had a baseball game and the little boy was able to look out in the stands and see his mom out in the audience. That's the mom he's going to love. He's not going to love a parent that only shows up once a year. So to some extent, when we get these black faces in white spaces, or another guy, he's now the chancellor of the Rutgers school system. I forgot his name, but he came on this podcast. He's friends with my other good buddy Randall Pinkett, two really smart black men. I just have so much respect. Jeffrey something, I don't know his last name, but he's the president of Rutgers University now, which is cool. And they wrote a great book called Black Faces in High Places, which is similar to Black. And then I think they had another book called Black Faces in White Spaces or something. I got to double check that. But even that, I remember thinking, when you say black faces in high places, what does that mean exactly? Because I think there's a lot of overlap between black faces in high places and black faces in white places. I think that there's something about being around white people and being accepted by white people and being in the space of white people that makes you feel that inherently makes you a better black person. I think that if you just simply said, you know what, I don't want to be in those spaces. I want to either build my own spaces or be in spaces that are already established that I can pour my attention into. I think there's something about that decision to not integrate fully that makes you feel like you haven't accomplished as much as your friend who went out and became president of the United States. But I'm going to tell you like this. I'm going to make it as simple as this. I think that there are people in the black community who poured all their energy into black spaces and black people in those spaces who had a greater impact on the black community than Barack Obama. Barack Obama's impact on the black community, for the most part, was pretty symbolic. That's what it was. You got to see this guy who was articulate, who was sharp, who has a beautiful family, who didn't have any scandals, who did a great job as president, and you're proud of that. That's a good thing. But in my view, the people that really impact your life are the people that are actually in it. The people that impact your life were the mother, the father, the school teacher, the guidance counselor, the football coach, the mentor in the hood, Uncle Leroy. Even though he might have been half drunk half the time, at least he loved you enough to be there for you. Right. Just all these people that are right there with you, they might have been less perfect and less articulate and less accomplished than a Barack Obama, but they were more important because all their energy was applied in a highly efficient way to the specific purpose of making sure that your life was better than it was before. I don't think that black faces in high places really does that for us. I don't think black faces in white spaces does that for us. And you know who else understands that is the Chinese. The Chinese actually specifically implemented a process where they said, we don't give a damn what you're doing out here in the world. We don't care if you go to Russia and become the best scientist in Russia, or if you go to the United States and you're a professor at Harvard. We want to know, what the hell are you doing for China? We want to know, what are you doing in China? We'll take a person at level 5 who's given 100% of their level 5 to China over a person who's level 10 who's only giving 10% of themselves to China that lives in another country. So because 10% of a level 10 is 1, whereas 100% of a level 5 is 5. So I want the 5 who's given 100% over the 10 who's giving, or over the 10 who's giving 10%. Let me know if you get what I'm saying. Let me know. You don't have to be good at math to understand that. So really, I think overall, when it comes to some of these discussions, I personally think that they're the wrong conversations anyway. I think that the best conversations that we need to have about what's going to really make our lives better and really solve our problems have to be conversations that exist between us. I also don't think the solutions lie within the national political system. Perhaps there are some local politics that can be applied that can benefit us, for sure. I support all of that. But I definitely think that these national political conversations that take up all of our attention are insulting, degrading, very limiting, and put you in a position where you're stressed out because you don't have any options. Studies show that people who have fewer options are more depressed, they have more anxiety, they have more their cortisol levels are higher. Why? Well, because you're trapped. And when you're trapped and you don't have options, well, that pretty much means you're not free. And so we talk about freedom all the time, but I don't even think we can even have a conversation about freedom because we don't even know what freedom even looks like. You've had the illusion of freedom, but I don't think you really know Like, if you go back to the basic definition of freedom, which means doing whatever the hell you want, most people can't really do that. Most people don't feel free. In fact, when people come to tell me who I'm supposed to vote for, like, you're supposed to go vote for, if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black, or you got to go vote for Trump because Biden is running a plantation. I get offended. I get annoyed. I'm like, who are you? Wait, why are you replacing my previous pimp with a new pimp? You don't understand. You think voter suppression is only done by the Republicans? No, the Democrats do it too. When they tell you, well, you got to do this, and if you don't vote, you don't count, and you got to blah 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 blah. Man, don't talk to me like that. We're gonna fight because you are disrupting my freedom. I am free as a human being, as an individual, to make the choice that works best for me and the people I love. And if you don't agree with that, then you cannot be my friend. You do not support me. You do not care about me. So in this space, I just want y'all to be, I want to be clear. I am not telling you what to do. I hope we can agree on that. I'm not telling you what to do. All I'm telling you to do is be free. And what if your freedom is different from mine, then I'm going to respect that. But I don't think that what we've had up until this point has been any semblance of freedom. And even these conversations, these degrading conversations that where Charlamagne's got to go explain to Bill Maher for some reason what it's like to be a black man. Man, he can shut that whole conversation up his ass. Bill Maher can. I like Charlamagne. Charlamagne's a cool guy, but Bill Maher, I'm like, what whiteness? What is it? Your whiteness that gives you even the authority to even lecture me on what it means to be black? You don't have the authority, sir. But maybe because you live in America, and maybe because it is your platform and it is your space, and Charlamagne perhaps decided to come into that space, that gives him makes him feel like he has the authority to do that. But I how about this? I'll say it this way. I don't think that you're going to see ever any space where a black man is going to speak to a Jewish man and tell him that it's not hard to be Jewish, or tell him or lecture him on anti-Semitism. I bet you that ain't going to happen. I bet you won't see that happen nowhere. So if it ain't going to happen with them, then it can't happen with us. And that is the dangerous conversation that nobody wants to have. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I appreciate your time, and I apologize again to both Kwame Brown and Kwame Kilpatrick for getting their names wrong. Got too many damn Kwames out here. But I'm going to say this. Kwame Kilpatrick, the reason I brought him up is because I think Kwame Kilpatrick is still an asset to the community. I think that he's a guy who is intelligent. I think he's a guy who has learned from his mistakes. And I think that he's a guy that is going to do some amazing things in his life. I don't think he's done yet. And I love the fact that as a community, we can know the difference between or we know the nuance in terms of knowing that a man can make a mistake without throwing his whole legacy away. And I just want to publicly state that I believe he's redeemable, and I want to see him win. And I don't think that this is the last chapter of his life by any stretch. And I do think that his punishment was a little bit more severe than it needed to be. So Kwame, if you hear this, man, congratulations on your newfound experience. If you ever want to reach out and even come on this platform and talk to me, you're welcome, brother, because I actually think that you are going to do great things. And the people I know that know you have a lot of admiration for you. So I just want to say that really quickly. And I also think that these leaders, when they turn back to the community, sometimes they turn back to the community because their experience in other communities didn't go so good, right? Even O.J. Simpson, if you remember when O.J. went through his stuff, and I don't know if he killed that lady or not, maybe he did, but when O.J. went through his stuff, he turned back to the black community. And my argument is, well, that's where you should have been pointing your attention in the first place. That's where you could have been more effective in the first place. And so I don't think that the black community should be your last resort of where you put your best and your brightest and your resources. I think the black community should be your first resort. That's your home. That's not where you finish. That should be where you start. Right? You understand? That's where you were born. That's where you come from. That's the best use of your time. If you're a neurosurgeon, the best use of your time is on people that look like you. And the only thing that pulls you away, the only thing that allows others to Jackie Robinson you and suck you out of the space in which you belong is money. It's money. And so if you ever want, so to go full circle, if you ever want to know why this finance professor is talking about these topics, is because it always comes back to money. And I got a whole PhD in money, so I understand what money does. Money can do a lot of things. Money can liberate you, but money can also be the devil. Money can elevate your life in amazing ways, but money can also be a son of a bitch. Money got you looking up to people that you should not be looking up to. Money will have you up in situations that you ain't got no business being in. Money will have you giving respect and credibility to people who haven't earned a lick of your respect. How the hell am I going to respect you just because you got $1 billion backing you? That money does not make you into a better or more worthy or more intelligent or more decent human being, but we fall for it every damn time. Our best and brightest get sucked out of the community because of a lack of money. So rather than allowing ourselves to be Jackie Robinson out of the place that we belong, my vision is that we can say, you are our best and brightest. And so we're going to create a space that's going to make you incentivized to stay. We're going to make, instead of celebrating the fact that you abandoned the people that you were supposed to be with to go be in enemy territory around people who hate your guts, we're not going to celebrate that, but we will celebrate the fact that you stayed home and you spent time with the kids and the community and the people around you and the ones who loved you back when white folks didn't think you was shit. We don't want you coming back just because it didn't work out over there. It's like a relationship, right? It's not fair if you only come back to that good woman after the little hoochie mama done dumped you. The little gold digger with the big booty done lured you away because you got sucked into that nonsense. And then she done ripped you up, took all your money, embarrassed you, and got you in trouble. And now you come back to the girl that loved you all along. No, you should have picked the other girl in the first place. Do you understand? If you care about yourself and you have high self-esteem, you spend time around people who love you. If you have low self-esteem, then you spend your life chasing people who don't respect you, who probably hate your guts. So this is not just an economic issue or a social issue or a political issue. This is a spiritual issue. This is a self-esteem issue. This is a psychological issue. This is a subconscious mind issue. That's what that is. Because on a subconscious level, the biggest challenge that we have is that somehow inherently we grew up believing that other people were better than us. And I'm just here to say that that's just simply not true. Everybody sees your value except for you. So let's see our worth, man. We don't need these raggedy ass people to tell us who the hell we are. You know who you are. Be great. That's what you're supposed to be. Show that Black excellence and keep it to yourself. You should profit from that excellence, not other people. I'm done. I'm not going to talk anymore. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you 100%. If you haven't done it yet, if you could please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. Also, I do have if you're interested in economics in the Black Business School, we have a great class, Black Money 101, that introduces you to the power of money. As you guys know, my PhD's in finance. That's what I do. I'm not a financial influencer. I'm a financial scientist. So I don't pull you in with stupid get rich quick schemes and a bunch of gimmicky stuff. We do things that are built on the fundamentals of economics, and you could explain it to even a 5-year-old. So don't be intimidated by it. Let's learn it. Let's get economically intelligent. So blackmoney101.com is a website you can go to. Also, every single morning I do a free class called Economic Elevation or Black Financial Consciousness. It is a great class. Everyone loves it. And guess what? It's 100% free. If you have not joined, you can join for free. Just pull out your phone, text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. So text morning to 87948. You'll get an invitation to Money in the Morning. I do this class for free every day, 7 days a week at 10 a.m. Eastern. And what we do is we talk about economic consciousness and financial consciousness. So because if you can't see the money, you can't be the money. So I want you to be able to see how economics runs your life, runs the world. So you'll know how to position yourself to do what rich people do. And so you have your own resources. So you don't have to go do horrible things in order to get money. So feel free to do that. If you live out of the country and you cannot text that word to that number, then you can also go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. And you can join from there as well. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful day. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. And I also hope that you all will consider coming to the All Black National Convention. That's the largest gathering on earth of intelligent Black people, where our goal is to solve our problems. Brother Nuri Muhammad from the NOI is going to be one of our speakers. I'm really excited because Nuri is an extraordinary leader, one of the smartest people I know, and I love this guy. And then also Lamar Tyler, the Black millionaire maker, is going to be one of our other keynotes. But we've also got doctors and lawyers and scientists and nurses and engineers and teachers and portfolio managers and crypto experts and real estate experts like Constance Carter that are coming. So we're going to be full of tons and dozens of experts and hundreds of smart Black people. And our goal is very basic. It is to solve our own problems with our own resources within our own people. So what does that mean? Well, what does that mean to solve our problems? I'll make this very, very basic. If you believe that Black people should have more wealth and more financial security, then the All Black National Convention is for you. If you believe that that we should build stronger families and that Black men and women should love each other and not go fighting each other on the internet, then the All Black National Convention is for you. We believe in Black love and Black family as a source of Black power and Black wealth. If you believe that Black people should be mentally healthy and heal from all the trauma that we go through that people like Bill Maher know nothing about, then the All Black National Convention is for you. If you believe that we should be physically healthier, that means doing natural things like working out and eating right instead of eating fast food and then dying from all these preventable illnesses, then the All Black National Convention is for you. And that's why we gather doctors and therapists and attorneys and family experts. We bring in people that have families that have been very successful so we can know what a successful Black family looks like. We bring in entrepreneurs and investors. Some of you have become millionaires while you've been following this platform because I've met you. I met a brother just today out of Newark who told me about the fact that he's quit his job like since he started listening to us the day before. I talked to another brother who manages millions of dollars for athletes and entertainers and stuff like that. And he was heavily influenced by what we do. So we're getting it done, man. We are getting it done because I believe deep down to the core of my soul that we are the alpha and the omega to our greatness and our success. We are the leaders. We are the solution we've been waiting for. So I ain't waiting for Superman because I am the man and you are the man and you are the woman and the Black man and the woman. In addition to being the original man, we will be the people that will bring ourselves out of any problems that we have. So let's solve our own problems. Let's get it done. If you want to learn more about the convention, please feel free to visit allblacknationalconvention.com. And also, in fact, today, Micah, who's on our team, told me that she's offering a discount on convention tickets. And in fact, if you use this code, she just sent me the code, so you can write this down if you'd like to come. If you go to allblacknationalconvention.com and use the code 50 off A, B, and C, that's all one word, 50 off A, B, and C, then you can get half off like on all your tickets. And that's going to be there for, I think, another 24 hours or so. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com, use the code 50 off A, B, and C. That's all one word. So anyway, so I hope to see you guys at the convention, and I hope that you I hope you get what's going on here and receive it in the spirit that it's intended. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out and listening. Love you. I'll see you guys soon. And also don't forget this podcast is on Spotify. So if you look up my name on Spotify or Apple, you can find the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify or Apple. And I'll mention this one more time. It's allblacknationalconvention.com, and the code is 50 off A, B, and C. All right, let's get it, everybody. Love you. I'll see you soon. That phone rang because that was my mama calling to wish me a happy birthday. So I'm about to go talk to my mama. So I'll talk to y'all soon. Love you. Peace.